If you're addicted to playing Valorant, I'm going to explain to you why basketball is literally, as a former Valorant addict, basketball is literally the exact same feedback loop as Valorant.
Head toward Ash Street.
And basketball, out of every sport, is the most similar to Valorant. And so the reason Valorant or any sort of competitive video game is so addicting is because a lot of us are addicted to that improvement, that instant feedback. And it's like, for me, I would come home from school, boot up my computer, boot up Valorant, go in the shooting range, warm up, do all this stuff, boot up ranked, and then you win or you lose. You're communicating, you're applying your aim. You might have some clutch shots, shit like that. And then you watch the tape. You're like, oh shit, I should have done this. I should have used this utility here. I should have peeked this corner.
Turn left onto Hemlock Street.
And then you're like, oh shit, my aim sucks. I need to go work on this. I need to go hit aim labs. I gotta hit the aim labs, like mini dot, get a new high score on that. Then I gotta go. All right, I trained my aim, and at this point, like 3 hours have passed. It's like you played 2 ranked games. You were in aim labs for an hour.
Turn left on
and then you're like, all right, my arm's kind of tired now. I'm done with aim labs for the day. Now let me go. See what's going on YouTube. Let me go watch some pro breakdowns on YouTube. Let me watch this smoke setup.
Onto Locust Street.
Let me learn this new lineup. And then it's like, before you know it, you spent like 4 hours just like completely immersed on different aspects of the game. And honestly, basketball is the closest real life sport to that. Because the thing is, like, a lot of sports, especially once you become an adult, you got a 9 to 5. Playing sports is like, there's a reason why video games are so popular. It's like, you just go home, you boot up the game, and then you're in there, you don't have to like go travel somewhere, find people to play with, all this stuff. But the thing that's why basketball is such a cheat code for like real sport wise, for that friction, because basketball has basically zero friction. And it's like any sort of gym, like LA Fitness, like any sort of big gym, mainly
turn left onto
the one everyone knows, obviously LA Fitness. That's a classic. LA Fitness pickup hoops. Like every big, like mid-tier or higher gym, like YMCA, LA Fitness, like Lifetime, every gym is gonna have a basketball court. And it's like, that's literally the closest you can get to that instant feedback loop of Valorant or like Siege, like Counter-Strike, any sort of FPS attack shooter. But it's like in a real sport. And the thing is, if you spend 5 hours a day hunched over your computer playing Valorant, you're actively getting less healthy. But if you spend 2 hours a day playing basketball, then you're like lifting, then you're like watching basketball film, you're still stimulating your brain like Valorant, but you're also getting healthier. Like you easily get 10 to 15,000 steps just from a few games to pick up. And then it's like, okay, so this is where the analogy happens. It's like, so for this analogy, ranked games are pickup games at the gym. And I think that makes the most sense, because like ranked, if you're just solo queuing ranked, you're not doing a team comp, you're not like doing anything crazy, you don't even know who you're playing with most of the time, which is the same as pickup. But it's like you still like are applying all the skills you learned. So ranked is pickup in the analogy. And then above that, you would have like Rec League, which would be like little mini tournaments. Because in Rec League, you at least know who your teammates are, and you have like practice specifically with that team and have like plays, which is how like mini tournaments are, amateur tournaments in Valorant are.
Take your next left onto Chidlaw Road.
Imagine you're playing pickup, like you just started playing basketball. You're like, go in a pickup game and like, you have no idea what's going on. Maybe you just read the rules, the equivalent of just playing the Valorant tutorial. You're like running around like a headless chicken, and you're like, oh, maybe I should go here. Maybe I should try to get the ball. Oh, I gotta try to defend this guy and not let him score. And then you're like, you finish the pickup game and you're like, damn, I was trying to shoot, but I don't know how to shoot. I gotta work on that. That's the same thing as like if you're playing Valorant, you're like, damn, my aim sucks. Let me go hit up aim labs. With pickup, you're just like, all right, the pickup game's over, everyone left. Let me just stay there and do some shooting. And then you're like, damn, I gotta look up some tutorials, for how to shoot. It's the exact same improvement process. And then it's like aim labs for basketball is either doing drills by yourself or it's like the weight room. And you gotta go lift, you gotta get stronger, get faster, all this stuff. It's the exact same sort of feedback loop that's so addictive. But you're also getting healthier at the same time instead of getting unhealthier. And it's like, if you already have a sedentary job where you're sitting at a computer from 9 to 5, you don't want your main hobby that you do every day after work to also be sitting behind a computer for several hours, because then you'll just develop all sorts of health problems in the long run, and it's really bad for you. So it's like, you got to get up, get active. And like, there's so many, like, people say, oh, people just do like bodybuilding. People will be like, go do triathlons, run marathons, shit like that. But if you're like a gamer, that type of shit is probably really boring to you. Like, just mindlessly, that would be the equivalent of playing fucking cookie clicker, Like, marathon training, that's just like cookie clicker. That's just doing the same shit over and over again. And that's just not fun. And it's like, you need a hobby that satisfies that same mental, like, decision-making, teamwork, mechanical skill aspect of Valorant or attack shooter that also has a physical aspect, and that's basically what basketball is. And so you might ask, like, why not ultimate frisbee? Why not soccer? Why not any sort of team sport? And those are all good options too. The reason I picked basketball is because the reason video games are so addicting is because there's no startup time. You go home, boot up the computer. You can boot up the computer, load up Valorant. Within 10 minutes of getting home, you're in a ranked game with dudes like,
use the right lane
with dudes yelling at you because you didn't like smoke for them. It's the same thing with basketball. You get off work,
continue for 2
drive
miles.
10 minutes to the gym. Within 20 minutes of getting off work, you can have dudes arguing about fouls in LA Fitness. And I think that's just a beautiful thing about basketball. Because with anything else, like soccer, ultimate frisbee, I don't know. Well, I feel like those are the big three probably. It's harder. It's just harder to. First of all, they need more space. They need open space. They're weather dependent. If the weather's bad, if it's windy, you can't play ultimate. If it's raining, it's gonna suck to play soccer. If it's cold, basketball, it's indoors, air-conditioned gym, climate-controlled HVAC. You can play year-round, just like Valorant. So that's why basketball is the most optimal sport to replace attack shooters. And it's like, also just like learning, because I found the aspect of Valorant where like learning about the science, learning about reaction time, motor learning, all this stuff, very interesting. And that's the same thing with basketball, where it's like, and that Valorant sort of improvement mentality is like a one-to-one translation to basketball, where you might be a gamer starting out, be super unathletic like me, but you'll pick it up super fast, and then before you know, you'll be like watching fucking film and like learning about like running like a Spain action, or like doing like an off-ball screen, or like a flare, all this like crazy stuff, which is literally the exact same thing as like Valorant. You got fakes, you got like rotations, different sort of defensive schemes. It's the exact same thing. So, and that's like, now I got a job, I can't be playing video games all day, and I can't be sitting on my ass all night after already sitting on my ass all day. That's just not, you could do that, but then you just you're like, that's just not a good way to spend time. It's not a healthy way to spend time. And that's why, because I got a Whoop, I've been wearing the Whoop for a few years, and it's like the Whoop really gamifies your health. And that's what made me want to find like an optimal way where I'm having fun and staying fit at the same time. And I'd say the number one thing for basketball, coming from a gaming background, is going to be biomechanics. You got to get your biomechanics right, because if you've been sitting on your ass all the time for years playing video games, not really doing anything fast or physical, it's like you got to ease into it for sure, because your tendons, your joints, your ligaments, your muscles, they're probably all atrophied. Your brain, the areas of your brain that coordinate how your body moves, are probably not used to it. So if you get into it too fast, it's not like video games where you can just start playing, like 5 hours a day. Maybe you'll get like carpal tunnel, but that's probably pretty rare. It's like injuries aren't really a thing in esports, but they're definitely a thing if you're trying to transition from esports to real sport. So that's the main thing, is you got to start lifting. You got to get in the gym. You got to start getting your joints stronger, getting your tendons stronger. But then it's like that, I'm telling you, you gotta pick it up so fast, because it's like that Valorant mindset is like you don't even need to, it's that same mindset just applied to something new. It's just like, once you have that sort of generalizable mental model in your head, you can apply that mental model to anything. And I think it's not even just a basketball or sport. If you've ever tried to actually get good at attack shooter, that is like something you can get you can study, you can be a really good student, you can excel in a career, because that mindset of constant looking for improvement, looking for ways to make things more efficient, that's like what so many jobs are based on. And it's just, if you taking that and applying it, and it's not even like, oh shit, I wasted years of my life on this video game. It's more like, it's not that regret. It's like, I'm glad I played this video game, because it taught me how to basically have this improvement mindset in an efficient way. And now I can go take this mindset and apply it to other areas of my life and make my life better in general, not just from this video game. And that's like, I feel like that's like fucking crazy, that a video game can teach that. And now it's like, I feel like now my main goal is, I feel like I know enough about training. My schedule is predictable enough that I think I can go from, I was cut from middle school basketball, and I was cut from high school basketball. I didn't really play. I didn't really try to get better, but I was just like, damn, I guess I'm not an athlete. But now I think, especially with figuring out I'm hypermobile and learning a lot about different sort of training, like not only about how to get stronger by like lifting and stuff, but also like literally how to train your reaction time to get faster, how to train your like nervous system to coordinate your body, all this stuff. This sort of like esoteric strength and conditioning stuff, where it's like deeper down on the iceberg, because like at the top of the strength and conditioning iceberg, you just got like probably like Mark Ripito doing like, you got to do your fucking squats, you got to do your deadlifts, you got like probably strong lifts 5x5. That was like big back in the day, where it's just like basically like nerds like going on YouTube being like, how do I not be a skinny twink? And then it's just like, you got like Mark Ripito telling you to like, you got like drink a gallon of milk a day and do deadlifts. But then like, as you get deeper into that strength and conditioning world, you're like, oh shit, like strength, that's just the beginning. You can develop every quality of your body, you can train and make better, except maybe height. But even then, I feel like in the future, like with childhood nutrition, you take like HGH and shit for height. But it's like every sort of quality, like not just strength. It's like your proprioception, your like rate of force development, all this stuff, your like coordination, cardio, everything can be trained. So it's like, why wouldn't any average person, as long as they're careful about recovery, they're eating right, they're recovering right, they don't have a crazy high allostatic load in other aspects of their life. I feel like any average person can become an above average athlete with the right training. And it's about not only like not being like, I've been like squatting and deadlifting and doing my like strength training, why am I not like a freak athlete now? Well, there's like more stuff to train. It's like, I think of it now as a car, because I feel like every sort of camp, like you see on Instagram Fitness, there's a few main camps. You got like usually the college strength coaches, you know, posting their college athletes workout. They probably got MS in sports science, you know, bachelor's in kinesiology, definitely a CSCS, NSCA, CSCS. Maybe they got like a PhD, from something, like a sports science PhD. And they're like, yeah, you gotta they're like kind of doing like heavy squats, you know, heavy bench press, maybe like stuff with chains, some like throwing some bodybuilding as well, like probably some like West Side barbell influence, you know, like dynamic effort, max effort. You got hypertrophy. That's that like college strength coach. They're probably using like force plates, like timers, stuff like that, like advanced shit. They're like, gotta get these guys big, gotta get them explosive, jacked. Probably doing some sprints, like med ball throws and stuff like that. Then you got like the GOTA guys. They're like, nah, never fucking lift weights. Like, you're compressing your body. You just gotta do our weird training to decompress your body. So you'll and they always show that video of Michael Jordan and be like, yeah, then if you do our training, you'll move like Jordan. And then you got the ATG people who's like, yeah, you gotta get full stretch, full range of motion, flexibility, all this stuff. And then there's like the fascia gurus, you know, like which is kind of related to GOTA, but I consider like HFT, like Chongxie, the Chinese dude who's like doing the towel curls with a foot and stuff. Who's like, oh yeah, you should never lift weights. I'm publishing a clinical trial about how like people were like jumping 40% higher
miles, take exit 7,
just by like
Wilmington
doing
Pike,
towel
Fort
curls
Belbrook.
with their feet. And then you got like, I don't know, I feel like there's probably one more, but it's I just think of it as parts of a car. Like you got the college strength coach, like CSCS people, that's like building the engine. They're like the engine builders. They're like, let's get a ECU flash. Let's put a big turbo on the engine. Let's get some like forged pistons, forged engine block, make like twice the amount of horsepower. But then it's like, if you just do that and you don't have, and you're on the stock tires, you're just gonna spin out. So then, or it's like somewhere along the transmission, whether that be the tires or like, you know, like the clutch is gonna slip. So you can't just upgrade the engine. So I think HFT, like the HyperArt fascia training, and GOTA to an extent, that would be you gotta upgrade the transmission, upgrade the clutch, so you can actually put the power down. Because I think that like classic like West Side like barbell lifts, that is the best way to develop power. Well, then it's like you gotta do this foot stuff, like the HFT training, so you're actually able to transmit all that power through the foot
in half a mile,
in the right
take
way.
exit 7
And then it's like what GOTA is like, if your car, you got to get an alignment, you know, you got to get the tires to have the right alignment, so you're not going down the road just like wearing out your tires prematurely, or like blowing out a tire at a random time because your alignment's messed up, or like, you know, your handling is going to be off and you could crash. That's what GOTA is. Because if you just have a big engine and a bad alignment, and then you go in
at the next light,
and you're like,
right.
you take your car to the racetrack and you go turn in, and then your car like does something crazy because the alignment's off. That's what GOTA is. And then And then you
At
got
the light,
ATG.
turn right onto
ATG is all
Wilmington
about
Pike.
developing that full range of motion, and in a range of motion bigger than what you need in your sport. Like they got like ATG, like ATG is mostly basketball focus, but it's like you would never need to do an ass to grass slant board squat with like heavy weight in a basketball game, but it's like that develops that joint resilience. So ATG is like getting more durable tires on your car, more durable tires, or you'd say like new ball joints, new struts, anti-vibration motor mounts, where it's like just it's making you more durable. So, and it's like, let's say like if you only did ATG and you didn't know what GOTA was, like that's where I started basically. I still developed that patellar tendinopathy because even though I had developed durability, I got some really good tires that don't wear out quickly. Because my car's alignment was off, I still got hurt. Whereas if I had developed that durability and I had a good alignment from GOTA, then I wouldn't have gotten hurt. And even then, like with GOTA, it's like theoretically you could do GOTA and not do ATG.
Turn right
because
onto
it's
Village
like
Center Drive.
with GOTA, if you have a
There's the
perfect
next stop
alignment,
sign.
you'll like.
Turn left.
Well, the thing is, even if you have a perfect alignment, right, your tires are still gonna wear out slowly. So ATG is like getting a new set of tires. It's like making sure your tires aren't wearing out. So it's like each
At
of
the
these
stop
like
sign, turn left onto
Instagram
Cornerstone North
gurus
Boulevard. Then you'll take your first left into
methodologies,
the
you
parking
know,
lot.
they're all like missing. They're all like parts of the puzzle, where I feel like you need to take like parts from all of them, because we know like that like West Side style like training or like Olympic lifts, stuff like that. That is the best way to develop power.
Head east.
And we know that the HFT, that's the best way to train the foot. We know GOTA is the best way to get your whole body biomechanics to line up right. And like ATG is the best way to get that, develop that large strength through large ranges of motion. So it's like you got to do it all. You can't just be dogmatic about it and be like, oh, this is all you need. That's the same thing with like carnivore diet. You know what I mean? It's like people are like, all you need to do is eat meat. Like, no, you got to have a varied diet. So you got to have a varied diet of food, and you got to have a varied diet of training. So that's like,
Welcome home.
I think that's what I'm trying to do right now, is I'm trying to put it all together. And then obviously also can't forget about bodybuilding, like classic, just like, you know, like literally bodybuilding training, because that's the fastest way to build muscle. And you want to build muscle fast and then use these other training methods to teach your body how to use the muscle. And I think you can also, like, some bodybuilding you could say is bad. You could say probably bodybuild in a sort of ATG, using like the ATG exercises, but also like using the sort of West Side, like college strength coach, classic exercises, CSCS. So it's like, you got to have a little bit of everything. And I think with this, my sort of theory is, I'm gonna be like Willem Dafoe, you know, the Green Goblin. Like, I have this crazy sort of idea of how to put all this training together, and I'm basically gonna test it on myself to where it's like, if I can apply this sort of training methodology, combining a lot, like training a lot of different. The other one I forgot to mention is like the stuff like eye training is like kind of esoteric, but it's like, or it's not esoteric. You could say it's like not well known outside of like sports performance circles. But it's like, you see like tennis players, they're doing like eye training. They're like looking back and forth. They're like looking up and down, tracking the ball on this they have like a ball on a string that's like bouncing around. They're watching it, and it's like you can train your eyes, and no one even really talks about that. So that's like, okay, so that one, to continue with the car analogy, that is like that's like upgrading your electronics on your car. That's like getting a, would it be ABS? No, because that would be more like nervous system. Like training your eyes, that's like, lane keep assist, shit like that. Like getting a bigger windshield, getting less blind spots in your car so you actually see what's going on. And then it's like you got to train your nervous system, like the weird Swiss ball stuff, like the weird Swiss ball moves where you're like twisting around and doing goofy stuff, water weights, like on the hands, on the feet, doing all this like unstable training. That's like, getting traction control in your car, getting like advanced ABS, where it's like the car is like automatically knows how to apply traction in like different situations. That's like training the nervous system to be able to adjust on the fly through like unstable training. And that's that proprioception aspect as well. That's like getting like advanced, like that's like on a motorcycle. You talk about like a motorcycle with a 6-axis IMU, where it's like lean sensitive ABS, and it's like super advanced, where it's like a lot harder for you to crash, essentially. So basically, I'm going to apply all this training to myself, and the proof of whether my methods are actually working is if I can take myself from getting cut from middle school basketball, getting cut from high school basketball, being the slowest person in my whole class in like kindergarten and elementary school, because we used to have this like cross country race every year that we would do. It's just like all the kids running around the school. I feel like it's probably like maybe a mile or like 2 miles or something like that. I used to hate that shit. I was like so bad at running because like I was wearing the house slippers all the time. And I'm hypermobile. I have no like proprioception. I didn't know how to run. And so if I can go from slowest kid in kindergarten and elementary school, getting cut from middle school basketball, getting cut from high school basketball, and then in high school I started being a meathead and lifting, and then in college I started Olympic lifting, and then now I discovered ATG as well. Started doing that this year. I discovered GOTA and hyperarch fascia training and like the nervous system training, eye training, all this stuff. I think now, because at every point I was missing a piece. When I was just being a meathead, I got a lot stronger, but I still wasn't coordinated. Once I figured out Olympic lifting, I was a lot more explosive. I had that engine, but since my car didn't have a good alignment, I got hurt, and I had an upgraded engine, but the clutch couldn't keep up with the engine, so the clutch was slipping. That's the feet aspect. And then now it's like, now that I know what GOTA, I'm starting to do the GOTA stuff, get my body in alignment, because I've been wearing the barefoot shoes for like a minute, but since my biomechanics were off, I was still like compensating in the barefoot shoes with my like hypermobile sort of flattened arch. And yeah, so now I know about the nervous system training. I know how to juggle now, and I'm going to learn like more advanced juggling. And what's crazy is like, and I know I'm hypermobile, so I stopped stretching, never fucking stretch ever again. Because that's like the worst possible warm-up for hypermobility. Even like dynamic stretching, honestly. So it's like I'm not stretching anymore. My coordination is coming back because I'm not like getting my muscles to go into like that neuromuscular guarding from stretching. So now it's like, and even like today, I was like actually trying to dribble a basketball for the first time, where it was like I didn't just like, and I could do like between the legs, behind the backs, and it only took me 2 days to figure out how to like somewhat consistently dribble behind the back. Whereas in the past, when I was doing, before I discovered this other type of training, I like could not, I was so uncoordinated with dribbling a basketball. Versus now that I know how to juggle, I've been training my vestibular system, my nervous system. It's like I've learned how to learn, my body knows how to learn faster. And like I started doing some of the tumbling, and my neck is still a little stiff from landing on it from trying to backflip earlier this week. But I think it's probably just going to take a few more days. And it's like I'm going to do a backflip, I'm going to do more gymnastics, stuff like that. And I think between all that and basketball is the test. So basically, the test is if I can take myself from being objectively unathletic to like playing rec league basketball within the next 2 years, assuming I don't like get into like I don't get like a limb amputated, you know, I don't get into like a crazy fucking car crash and like fucking turn into a vegetable, or like I don't like deploy somewhere and then have to like work like 18 hours a day. Assuming like nothing crazy happens, if I can do all this training, be locked in, not be, because like this is, I'm in a state of like this like hyper focus right now. So it's like if I can do all that and be locked in, then I think I can take myself from being objectively below average athlete with training, with all this cutting edge training, proper nutrition, proper sleep, I can take myself to a solid rec league basketball player. Because I got the frame, like from sort of, if you were just like to look at me and I said I played basketball, you probably wouldn't like second guess it. Because I'm like, okay, I'm 6'2". I got a sort of like long arms, long legs, you know, decent sized hands, not like huge hands. But if I got a little more grip strength, I can already palm sometimes. And if I got a little more grip strength, I could definitely palm like consistently. I got good sort of basketball build, you know. So it's like the only thing is the hypermobility, and then like just not developing properly athletically as a kid. So I think now that I have all the resources and the time and the energy to devote to this, yeah, basically the goal is within 2 years, be a solid rec league basketball player, and be at the point where like, by solid, I mean like dropping like 10, 20 points in rec league consistently. And like, you know, be like a knockdown shooter from three, have like a bag, have good court vision, all this stuff. Because right now, basically I can play pickup ball center. The average like LA Fitness, you know, most people are like shorter, just like because of the average height of the population. So I'll just like post up and shit. But it's like if I want to actually ball at a somewhat higher level, I got to be a guard. I got to learn how to dribble, do all the harder stuff, learn how to shoot. But I think with all of the amount of knowledge about training in my brain and learning all this stuff, like knowing the context within how I have to train myself, it's like that old analogy. It's like if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, then the fish will think it's terrible at climbing trees, but it's like supposed to swim. So it's like, now that I know I'm hypermobile, I'm not going to train. I'm not going to do dynamic stretching. I'm not going to do certain things that I know are bad for people who are hypermobile. And I'm going to vigorously protect my nervous system bandwidth throughout the rest of the day. You know, I'm not going to bombard my brain with watching YouTube and podcasts 24/7, always listening to something in the background, like so that, and have like silence during as much of the day as possible. Wear earplugs and sunglasses when I'm going to run errands, just to protect my nervous system's bandwidth, so that I'm able to recover properly, and my nervous system has enough energy come training time to do the best it can. So it's like there's so many of these things I think that are coming together that is going to enable me to basically reverse engineer myself into a decent athlete, at least decent. Like, obviously, I'm going to have a realistic goal. Like, genetics do play a factor here in athleticism. But it's like, if you have like a VW Golf, you know, with the 1.8 TDI, like, you can still tune that shit to be pretty fucking powerful. Like, it's not going to beat like a Hellcat, you know, in a drag race, but it's still going to be pretty fucking good. So like, I'm that VW Golf, you know, where it's like my ceiling might not be like infinitely high, but it's still, my potential is higher than what is currently expressed right now. So yeah, that ended up going super long fucking video. I feel like I might even want to break it. I need to edit all this shit at some point, because these videos, these could be like broken into 2 or 3 videos, all of them. But yeah,